I want to talk about what I've learned about stalking and different types of stalkers. All of us are scared of this, and I think there's just a lot to be gained in having all of the information. So, trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about different types of stalkers, their motivations, their behaviors, then do's and don'ts for ways that you can protect yourself. So I am a victim, not an expert. So if you are someone with expert information, please drop that in the comments. If you have any corrections, please drop that in the comments so that people can find it if they need it. What I've learned is that there are between 5 to 7 categories of stalkers. I'm going to put the list up on the green screen so that you guys can save it or screenshot it. Do a breakdown of what each one is. First, we have rejected stalker. So their motivation, this type of stalker is often motivated by feelings of rejection, typically at the end of a close relationship, and their behavior can range from attempts to contact and reconcile with the victim to more aggressive actions such as threats and harassment. Next, we have resentful stalker. So this stalker feels wronged or humiliated and is seeking revenge. They may believe that the victim has harmed them in some way, whether real or imagined. Engage in stalking to frighten or distress the victim, deriving satisfaction from fear. We have the intimacy-seeking stalker. Motivation is a close relationship with the victim, often believing that they are in love with them. Develop a delusional belief that the victim shares these feelings. They might send gifts, love letters, or make repeated attempts to contact the victim, believing that overall they can win their affection. Incompetent stalker. This type of stalker desires a romantic relationship but lacks the social skills to develop one normally. Their stalking behavior can be awkward and clumsy, involving frequent but less threatening attempts at contact. Still not wanted contact. Then we have predatory stalker. So this stalker engages in stalking as a means to prepare for a assault or other form of attack. Their stalking is usually a precursor to a violent or act. They often engage in covert surveillance, gathering information about their victims' habits, and may escalate to physical violence. Then we have cyber stalkers. So cyber stalkers use the internet, social media, email, or other digital means to stalk their victim. Motivation can align with any of the above categories, but primarily takes place online. It can include online harassment, spreading rumors, hacking, creating false profiles to monitor or discredit the victim. Then vengeance or anger stalker. So similar to the resentful stalker, this individual is driven by anger and the desire to cause distress. So their focus is more on causing emotional pain and disruption to the victim's life. So they may engage in aggressive or destructive behaviors such as property damage, threats, or constant harassment. Then we have the delusional stalker. This stalker may suffer from a mental disorder such as schizophrenia or delusional disorder, leading them to believe that they have a special connection with the victim who is someone that they have never met. Behavior can be persistent and disturbing, often involving letters, emails, or public declarations of love or affection. My stalker was a predatory stalker, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about predatory stalkers and how they work, so prevalence and how afraid do you really need to be of a predatory stalker. One of the key trademarks of a predatory stalker is that they keep themselves concealed. So that's different than some of the other stalking behaviors whose intention is to try to get a reaction from you, stress you. They get this enjoyment from making you afraid. As a predatory stalker enjoys essentially the hunt. Behaviors of concealment in predatory stalkers. Surveillance, they may engage in prolonged surveillance of the victim, watching from a distance, following them without being noticed, or using hidden cameras or other devices. I didn't have any of the home protection measures that I listed out in my other video employed for myself. I didn't have a Ring camera. I have no idea how or if he was hanging out outside my apartment. So avoiding detection, predatory stalkers often go to great lengths to avoid detection by the victim or law enforcement. They might wear disguises, use false identities online, or take indirect routes to observe their target without drawing attention. Minimal contact. Unlike other types of stalkers who might seek interaction, predatory stalkers typically minimize contact until they are ready to strike. Their goal is to keep the victim unaware of the threat. According to the National Intimate Partner and Violence survey, 1 in 6 women will be stalked in their lifetime, which unbelievable, and 1 in 17 men will be stalked in their lifetime. So this is an important issue that can and may happen to you or someone that you love, someone that you know, someone that you care about. A predatory stalker may identify their victim because of an obsession, or they might fit a set of criteria. They may watch multiple victims at once based on the likelihood of a successful attack. So that's super terrifying. So what can you do to protect yourself from this type of stalker? One, home protection, which I talked about in my other video, and you guys had a ton of ads in the comments. If you check out that video, definitely check out the comment section as well. Self-protection, knowing how to fight back, knowing in self-defense, training in boxing, training in Krav Maga, carrying legal weapons on your person. And 3, mental prep. And by this I mean going through in your mind and setting aside time to do this. Don't do this all day long, but something that I do now is I'll set aside time and I'll go through different scenarios and ask myself how far I'd be willing to go and push myself even further, just so that my mind is ready and flexible and knows when the time comes, we need to, go there. Again, like super terrifying, not knowing if someone is watching you, but how scared do you need to be that this is happening to you? Because I saw a lot of you guys saying that you're really scared. Predatory stalkers make up the smallest amount of this list. This doesn't encompass all of those 7, and this is a study from 2004, so I don't know if this has changed. But when you look at the categories, rejected stalkers make up the very most. Resentful stalkers, intimacy seeking, incompetent suitors, all kind of making up this middle chunk. And then predatory stalkers are in the smaller piece. Those are the individuals that are like, you just have no idea that they're watching you. It's this really, really, really small section. From a medical and educational text that was published by the Cambridge University Press. Is called Stalkers and Their Victims. This is a page about the predatory stalker. I'm reading from the second paragraph, and I'm sorry it's really tiny, but it says, this group is selected in part from the ranks of those who delight in the sense of control and power which accrues from watching and planning an assault on the target. In contrast to the resentful stalker for whom harassment is designed to inflict fear and distress, predatory stalkers seem to derive excitement from the surreptitious observation of their victim. Often there is no manifest intent to disturb or even alert the victim to his or her emerging fate. That's scarily worded. The victims of the predatory stalker may even live in ignorance of the destiny that their stalker is preparing for them. Predatory stalkers constitute a small but salient subset of stalkers who have been disproportionately represented in their most dramatic forms in fictional portrayals of stalking. Very creepy example of a predatory stalker is the Golden State Killer, who's also called the original Night Stalker, and he got away with it for a very, very long time. This was in the 70s, 80s. I don't think he was arrested until the 2000s. I have to look again. He had decades that he went undetected. That was also a different time, a very different time. He was able to get away with it because the world just wasn't advanced enough to catch him yet. Even though stalking was a major part of his MO and how he tracked and identified who his victims would ultimately be, he was not specifically tried for stalking as a standalone charge. Pretty common for law enforcement not to include stalking as a charge, especially in some of these more violent cases. Despite the fact that stalking was a critical element in his crimes, the legal focus in this case was on the more severe charges of and other violent crimes. All to show that just in these cases where these predatory stalkers do execute or try to execute a violent crime, law enforcement tends to focus on what is going to carry the heaviest sentence, which unfortunately stalking, even if convicted, does not carry a heavy sentence. And they'll focus on more violent crimes that are much more concrete to investigate and charge and ultimately ensure the conviction. Knowing all of this information, what should you do? And then what shouldn't you do? You should not do is lose minutes, hours, days of your life being afraid of this. You should absolutely educate yourself. You should absolutely be prepared, but you should not walk around all the time terrified that this is going to happen. If you're prepared, you won't be afraid. I mean, even think of a test. If you've studied for a test, then you walk into that thing and you're maybe a little bit nervous, but you're not scared. If you haven't studied at all, then you're scared shitless. Set aside time to do the things on the what you should do list, and then the rest of your time just continue living your life like a bad bitch and have an awesome life and enjoy yourself and have fun and don't think about this stuff. And you will be good and you will be fine.